All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Thursday night. It's me, Alan Patterson. I'm in the booth here for RaceFace, and you are all joining us at the Custom Cut IT Solutions GT3 series, brought to you by RaceFace and other sponsors, Resource Complete, Statement Watches, and PWSR. And I'm joined tonight in this very wet booth at Monza by my good friend Steve. Steve, are you there?
I am here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and thank you very much, Alan, for having me in the wet booth. I just had to get my boat and travel all the way here. Monza at the moment is soaked, and I think these drivers are at the moment got their windscreen wipers to full, the ABS all the way up, and traction control, trying to keep it all in check, because this is going to be a very, very challenging Monza.
Big time, big time. I've been watching them. All right, we had a little bit of teething problems, as we do, but we started on time. Everything looks good, but I have been watching the guys here, and I'm astounded at how good the car control is, considering the conditions. So I think we're going to be in for some awesome racing tonight.
Absolutely, and as we know, Monza is all about low drag, high speed. Now chucking a bit of weight into it, you've got to try and focus on the amount of grip to get yourself around the circuit. So it's riding that very fine line between giving it everything she's got and just getting it to the end. Remember, it is an incredibly long race, an hour and 20 minutes with one mandatory pit stop that can literally flip the grid on its head, as we've seen in the past and in the many seasons that have come back from RaceFace.
Yeah, listen, to be fair, the organizers have they're throwing more curveballs at the field here. Besides the fact that it's such a huge entry and it's Monza, the cathedral of speed, now they've thrown a ton of weather at the drivers as well. So, and as you say, a very long, we'll call it a sprint race. I mean, it is a sprint race, but it's a miniature endurance for the drivers as well, because this isn't a little 50-minute or a 30 or a 40-minute, as you say. It's well past an hour, and in these conditions, the drivers are going to be struggling.
Absolutely, and you and I were very fortunate to race with some of these drivers that we currently have on circuit, racing in Monza in the dry, and we could get a little bit of an understanding of the thought process. The guys utilizing the sprint series to try and get some practice in for this race, and we also got to see them go door to door with one another from literally the best seat in the house. So one thing to keep an eye on is Junior McCall, who won the sprint series last night. He's looking to try and recreate that tonight for the Thursday race. But it is going to be interesting to see if he will be able to beat the one and only Jordan Sherritt, who has been on a campaign this year to prove that he's right up at the front of the field.
Yeah, 100%. The man is, make no mistake, the man's definitely got some skills. He has been dishing out hidings left, right, and center, and is schooling pretty much everybody in this hobby right now, or sport at least. But we have a handful of contenders. One of them being the newcomer Luke Addison, the latest driver that's joined Team Hybrid Academy, and yeah, this man's also got a bunch of skills. He's been showing Team Hybrid Academy how to do this, and I think he's going to bring the fight to Mr. Sherritt tonight.
Well, I have to say I'm looking for Etienne Kleb. We have seen him race every so often come joining the series. Last night he had a little bit of an issue of just misjudging fuel, and he went back to the Amterplay team and Amtech team to go and tinker with the car and work out the fuel to the precise liter to get him across the line. And that's one thing that these guys are each considering, is how to maximize the amount of fuel usage and minimize the amount of weight from the fuel in the race. So I'm really, really interested to see how they're going to be able to balance that on a circuit which is give it everything she's got right to the end. Another thing the drivers have to contend with is their brakes getting absolutely cold. We talk about the tires, heating up the tires. We forget about the brakes and the that say Monza's turn 1 is not the most forgiving when you go and try climb on the anchors.
Yeah, no, true. Although I think they've got a little bit of a weather advantage to help with the cooling, but yeah, the corners that we've got to deal with here today, depending on how they've set their vents on the cars, we'll see if that does actually affect any drivers or not. But right, we're 12 and a half minutes left of official qualifying. You're watching the Custom Cut IT Solutions GT3 series. Currently watching Bruno Cadilia as he just he doesn't bail out, he actually just is creating some gaps, or he's cooling tires down. But Jordan Sherritt currently on a 153.4, which, Steve, between you and me, I think some of the dry laps were in the 153s yesterday, so it just goes to show his pace in the wet conditions and how quick he actually is.
I'm looking at that time, and it's very close to my quickest time with next to no fuel in the car, and he's doing it in the wet.
Exactly.
So I'm a little bit going red there.
It's a bit depressing, that, isn't it?
But they absolutely. What I'm amazed is how close the drivers are from 1st to 13th. It's literally under a second.
Yeah.
Between each other, so it's going to be incredibly tight. But Alan, we've also got to point out joining us on this adventure at a very wet Monza is our spectators watching virtually online and going to be joining us, putting in the cheering, the comments. I'm taking a look at some of the comments as well. It's fantastic to see the guys are really jumping on board, supporting the teams, and trying to go and see who's going to win. So in true commentators fashion, let's do this. While they're going around qualifying,
right,
we are going to take a note of who we think is going to be first, second, and third. I mean, why not?
Okay, are we making that call? All right.
Let's put it on the line there. Chocolate milkshake for the win.
Are we doing?
Why not?
Why first, second, third? I mean, it's normally just who's your winner. Now we got to think a little bit harder, and I think there's going to be that's going to be a bit difficult to
work out.
Yeah. But all right, let's think about it. I'd also like to just take this opportunity to welcome everybody on our YouTube channel tonight. Llewellyn DeLange's there, Ken A's there, Devon's there. How's it, gents? Some stern talks there about Jordan getting beaten tonight by Ken. So looks like there's some interest in the race from our spectators on the YouTube channel. And feel free to post some questions, answers. Let's have a full-on chat. But you know what, Steve, I'm going to be, and I'm never like this, but I'm going to be very atypical, and I'm going to say I don't think there's going to be a debate over first. I think the debate's going to be who's going to be second, to be honest. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
You say that, but Luke Ellison he's only 0.3 of a second behind Sherritt. So Sherritt makes one mistake, and he's going to get fed right into a grid of guys that are clawing at the bit to go after him. So I wouldn't put it past the rest of the grid to try and dethrone Sherritt at this point, looking at their quali times. And I'm really looking forward to this.
All right, cool.
Right down
you going first.
Play.
You going first, buddy. You going first.
Let's see at the end of this qualify. I'm going to call it, but I have got a funny feeling. Sherritt's not going to win this. And what has been pointed out, Sherritt has got a little bit of ballast on him as well. And as we've learned, ballast plus wet makes things very, very interesting. And from 1st to 16, they are all within a second, just under a second of one another. It takes one mistake from any one of these drivers, and they are going to be fighting tooth and nail. And we've also got to check here that there's that mandatory pit stop that comes into play. We've seen guys try and go extremely light on the fuel, run it right to the end, and try and get that splash and dash and out. We've seen fuel miscalculations before. Hopefully they've got it all sorted out. But with 8 minutes left of this qualifying, I'm curious. But I will take a look, and I've got a you will be surprised of who I actually pick for first, second, and third.
Righty. Well, all of a sudden the YouTube's lit up. Hey, AmpZedda, welcome again. Daniela Fourie shouting for Luke as well. Listen, let's not forget Luke's also carrying a little bit of ballast tonight, but I agree. If there is somebody out there, it's going to be him, but let's see how it goes. Hello, Quibus Null. Welcome, buddy. Have a look where Junior McCall is currently on the timing screen.
Junior is sitting 16th place, really battling with the car. I've been watching him for a while. He's been taking the curves quite aggressively and kicking the rear out of the car the entire time. So he's really fighting to keep it in check. And I think with getting a little bit too aggressive, bouncing over those curves, he's just losing those precious split seconds that's needed to keep going. He needs to knuckle down and keep pushing as hard as he can.
Yep.
While his brother, Morgan McCall, lying in 13th place, who's on a real hard charge to keep pushing himself right to the front of the field. Now, Morgan has pulled a rabbit out of a hat before. Will he be able to do it once again? We'll find out. Another name that's brilliant to see is Jason Isherwood and Paul Gerber. They're going to be duking out with each other. We've seen them before go and have a good crack at each other, and they are lying in 11th and 10th place, and they don't give each other a single little bit of an inch. Brilliant drivers, but is the dice going to impact them later on?
Yeah.
So this is a sprint race, but you have to use your head. You have to figure out you're lasting an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, you got to go to the distance.
That's it. Plus now you've got rain coming in as well. You've got to start considering the little things that you're doing to try and preserve the life in those tires and really push hard towards the end. Because the more that you slip and slide, which is very easy on the wet, as we know, the more it's wearing down on the rubber. And if you're in a front engine, your rear tires are going to let go. If you're in a mid-engine, well, you've got to be careful of over-rotation of the vehicle, as we've seen with the Audi, the Lamborghini, and the Ferrari in many different seasons that have gone by.
Defos. Yeah, good to see Mr. Isherwood and the Retro Esports guys. They are there or thereabouts. We've just seen Lionel Clue pop up into 8th place with just under 6 minutes to go. The BWR guys here in force as well. Very interesting to see a pretty good mix here of manufacturers in the top 10. Obviously Jordan up front in the Merc, and then a couple of Aston Martins, couple of McLarens. There's a Bentley there, there's an Audi there, there's a Lambo, Ferrari. I don't see a Porsche anywhere until we get to our good friend Egan Masters, and he unfortunately is down in 29th as the quickest Porsche. So yeah, and okay, there's a Lexus Radloff in 26th in his Lexus. So but up front, a good mix and match of manufacturers out there.
Absolutely, which is fantastic to see. I mean, previous seasons we've seen the Porsche being dominant, we've seen the Aston being dominant. Now to have a wide variety of brands, each showing what they can do, is going to be absolutely incredible. And I'm just taking a look at our YouTube page. There's lots of guys busy talking about who's going to get into the front, what's going to happen, and that's what we love to see. So guys, we want to see those comments. We want to see what you guys are going to think. Who's going to climb to the top and take the race win. And a lot of support going down to 21st place, and that's Etienne Kleb from the Amp to Play team and the community. So hopefully he's amped to race. I'll just take my leave and walk out now for that terrible pun. But it's going to be very interesting to see if all the teamwork and support is going to get him up and going. But Luke Allison, 0.2 of a second off Sherritt. We've seen Sherritt march up to the front, but for this season, and as I've been saying to everyone, the grids have gotten faster. There is the difference between the top drivers that we know to the drivers that we've seen, working their way up. The grids have gotten faster. You're having to work more and more to climb to the top. And this is what's fantastic to see in the Custom Cut IT Solutions GT3 Championship on a Thursday. We've got the curveballs. We've got the talent. and it's going to be an absolutely incredible, adrenaline pumping hour and 20 minutes of racing as every single one of these drivers are pushing as hard as they can to get those precious few seconds in to get right up to the front.
Yep, and we're at the Cathedral of Speed. Monza known for its very quick laps. It's steeped in history, and I think there's going to be a great showing here by a whole bunch of drivers. Luke Addison now closing that gap slightly. He's down to 2/10 off the back of Sherritt, 53.4. Luke at obviously then a 53.6 or 7 or thereabouts. Couple of other names up here, actually. I was just looking through. Christian Deploy, he's sitting in 4th. He's kind of just sneaked in there with the big Bentley, and he's clearly doing well with this car at Monza. And the next one in 9th. Okay, so there's 2 of them up in the top 10. So Christian Deploy showing a good turn of speed. Hannes van Wyk in 5th place, ahead of the likes of the McCalls and Bruno Cadile and Fenter, Clue, and a couple of others. B. Lewis. I mean, we normally see Lewis in the top 5. He's currently sitting in 12th at the moment. So let's see what happens in the race. As you say, we got 1 hour, 20 minutes. These guys are going to have to drive, but they're going to have to drive controlled aggression, and they're going to have to pace themselves and wait for the gaps. And when the gaps do arrive, they're going to have to jump on them.
Well, that's it. And now, Alan, you are a team manager for the Patterson Works Racing team. In a condition like this, now I'm going to lean on that little bit of knowledge that you've got there, if you don't mind. Just get some of the secrets of the trade out.
Got you.
How would you tell your drivers in a situation like this where it is absolutely close? I mean, so far, down to 22nd place, they are under a second of each other. How do you tell them to calm down and focus on just driving when the field is so competitive and it is open cards? And let us not mention, the winner of the championship has a pot of gold at the end of it, as we can say. Thanks to our sponsors. So big thank you to Custom Cut IT Solutions. Big thank you to Statement Watches, Resource Complete, and the PWSR for going and being part of this RaceFace GT3 championship. So there's so much on the line, and you could feel it in the driver's briefing. The guys are just clawing. They want to get going. They want to get racing. They want to get that checker flag. How are you going to tell them to calm down?
Yeah, look, I mean, the guys are out there to race, Custom Cut have definitely come to the party. There's some money on hand now, and as soon as you introduce you dangle a carrot of this kind of nature in front of these guys, the racing is going to get tight. It's going to get quick. And I think if anything, the rain has actually brought the field a lot closer. If it was drier, that gap would be a lot wider spread, if you ask me. So yeah, as we say, all the way down to 23, the top 22 people, all within a second of each other. So what can you say to the guys? The guys are jumping at the bit. They want to get on the track and they want to race. You've basically got to just calm the guys down. We've got a new member in the team, youngster Byron Kutso, who's joined PWSR, and he's only been doing this for 7-8 months, I think, if that. So he's very new to it. Does come across from a console environment, but he's eager but he's also got pace. So it's a matter of just saying, be patient, take your time at these in the race, wait for the gaps to happen and the chances, and then when you get that opportunity, that's when you strike. Otherwise, keep the car facing in the right direction and let's see how it goes from there.
Absolutely. And with qualifying over, Sherritt taking first place, Luke Anderson right behind, and talk Adam as well, lying in 3rd place with not much behind either. So absolutely incredible. And I said I was going to put my foot in my mouth, so here it goes.
Okay.
I think Addison, Adam, and Christian are going to be the ones to watch and the ones to go for the line. Jordan Sherrod, as we know, can fight tooth and nail, and Junior McCall will be chasing him down. But Addison, Adam, and Deploy have been really making their names in the sim racing scene and pushing their way up to the top. So I think they have enough to challenge for that first place. There we go. I've put my foot in my mouth. Let's see if it tastes beautiful after an hour and 20 minutes.
Right. Listen, I'm sorry. I'm going to be boring. I think, unless he actually gets completely yeeted and doesn't recover, I think Jordan's going to come away with the win. Second place, that's an interesting discussion because I would have expected Tariq to be there, but the new boy, Luke Addison, has definitely been showing them the way around. And I have a feeling he will be there. So as we're looking at the grid at the moment, I think it's 1 and 2. Third, I think might be one of the McCalls. I'm not sure who, possibly Junior. So that's what I'm going to call it, as a Sherrod, Addison, and a Junior McCall for first, second, and third.
This is going to be an interesting one. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I hope you're excited as I am, as there's 1 hour and 55 seconds left before we start round number 2 of our GT3 Championship, proudly brought to you by RaceFace in partnership with Custom Cut IT Solutions, Resource Complete, Statement Watchers, and PWSR. I am extremely excited to see this. One mandatory pit stop. Essentially, all they have to do is put 1 liter of fuel in the car, and that would count as their pit stop. But we know 120 liters over an hour and 20 minutes does not last. So it's about who's putting as little fuel or as much fuel to carry them to the end. Go for those late pit stops or those early pit stops. We are going to find it all out so soon, and I am
Let's have
see what's going to happen.
We're having a fast ad break here. Slow down, chap. I know you're excited, but hold on. Right, here we go. We're down to the last 30 seconds. We should hear the engine starting up shortly, and then we'll have a full pace lap, and then the action's going to start. Everyone ready?
It is going to be brilliant. And I've got to say, from that advert, if you're not getting excited that RaceFace is pulling out another rabbit out of the hat with steady state, we are going into endurance racing, ladies and gentlemen. 22nd of August, we are doing a 6-hour, and it is going to be incredible.
It is.
And a lot of the drivers that you're seeing here on the grid are going to be joining in that endurance racing as well. So they're going to be taking sprint racing, the premier category, and endurance racing to prove who's going to be the number one driver and the number one team that is coming up. But we are going to focus on the mission at hand right now, and this is the Custom Cut IT Solutions making their way around. It's all about warming up those tires, warming up those brakes, getting your eye in, focusing on the mission at hand. You've got to really knuckle down and throw out every distraction possible. If your friend is on Discord trying to have a chat to you while you are going into this race, if you're trying to communicate with your teammate, you need to push him aside and focus on what is at hand, because turn 1 with a big grid like this is just an absolute handful.
Definitely. That first chicane, that's going to be difficult. The guys are going to be looking at taking opportunities. And you know what, if I could say anything, as Ken A is saying on the YouTube channel, it's a quality field we've got here tonight. Indeed it is. But the guys need to understand, and it's so often seen in all the leagues, do yourselves a favor, go and watch some of the international leagues that race overseas. Almost the entire field will get through the first half of the lap, maybe a full lap, without any kind of problems or contact, because the guys realize, you've got to pace yourself. You're not going to win the race in the first corner. So, you know, going for like a fast emergency kind of up the inside dives, that's going to end in tears at the end of the day, because the guys ahead of you aren't expecting you to get there. There's a concertina effect, and. So with the conditions that these guys have, we're going to go to some in-car shots, and I guarantee the spray is going to be a factor as well. And, you know, your whole braking point's got to come forward a little bit from where it normally is. These guys need to be patient. They can't just go hell for leather and expect it just to fall in their laps. It's going to be a tactical race. There is a pit stop involved, and it's an hour 20 minutes. So let's see what happens.
Well, we've also got to put out, remember, we're gamers. We love having our graphics up. We love having all the power in the computer to be able to see everything, including the blade of
We do.
glass.
Yep.
But in these conditions, your computer is powering up all the spray. You cannot see anything. And this is what's going to be so interesting, is how the guys are going to deal with the conditions.
Exactly.
Because this is the first wet conditions we have in the in the series.
Yeah.
They did the sprint series where it was in the dry. So trying to use that as a practice, well, you only got to learn how to drive in the dry, not in the wet. So these guys, for the very first time in the series right now, for the season, are in the wet. And
so have a look
what
at
they can do.
Look on the live stream. I've gone down to like 8th and 10th place in cockpit, and you can see, you know, okay, the guys are going slow, but there's still a lot of spray around. So at speed, these guys are going to struggle.
Absolutely. And now they're making their way through to Parabolica. This is where it starts getting crucial. You got to line yourself up, get a little bit of pace. Remember, you have a maximum speed of 70 k's an hour. You don't want to jump it. Sherritt is ready to take a big jump. He's got Anderson right behind him. Adam and McCall all looking to go at him. So this is going to be extremely tight. And it's all about being careful. It's all about being precise and making it to the end.
Yep.
I am really looking forward to this. Ladies and gentlemen, as we're getting ready to go green, they made their way through Parabolica and coming up to the line for the start of the GT3 Championship. Proudly brought to you by RaceFace and Custom Cut IT Solutions. Adam having a great run up on the inside. Addison losing a little bit of time. He has to go on the outside, trying to tuck in right behind Sherritt. You can see everyone fighting for positions. And here's the concertina effect. Adam coming by.
Oh, they're all
guys,
missing the first corner.
But instead of going and ramming into each other, decide, well, we're going to keep it clean and go. But take a look at McCall, though, diving up on the back of Addison, now trying to pull his way through. He's going to have the inside line advantage, but that corner that is coming up is going to tighten up on him. Addison goes to offensive. McCall looking left and right. So Addison putting the Aston firmly in the middle and pushing McCall back into
there's a
deploy.
turnaround. Yeah, there's a turnaround just behind the back Bruno Cadillo. There was a turnaround there. But okay, so first top 8, 9, 10 drivers through Lesmo 1 into Lesmo 2. Jordan Sherritt, Tariq Adam and Luke Addison all went through the first chicane and missed the second part of it, but they're safe and sound and they're on their way. So we're just going to follow them around the first lap. Pretty much clean. Some dicing to be had, but they single file as they head round. They through the second sector now, getting onto the long back straight, and they're going now down towards Parabolica. And Sherritt is he's half a second out from Tariq Adam. Interestingly, that change between Adam and Addison. So Tariq Adam now leading in the McLaren, but we'll see if, how long that lasts and if Addison's actually going to try and pass him.
Interesting enough, watching Sherritt's lines, he's also going very wide, and it seems like he's struggling to try and keep it all within the line. So you got to remember that they can still get penalties for track cuts. So he's got to be very careful there, especially with how close the grid is behind him. Adam's still doing everything he can. Addison trying to get in tow, and then he's got Junior McCall who's fighting back. Deploy all over the back of him. We talk about having the Boatley working to its advantage. Well, this is the conditions that it should excel in as he chases down the Mercedes in front of him.
Oh, there's chaos at that chicane. Second lap, and there's a bunch of people going through, a bunch of people turning around. We're watching Contreras in the Lamborghini. He came through very slowly, and he's got Lewis and McCall. No, he doesn't. He's got
Lewis and Clue all over the back of him.
No, yes, B. Lewis. That's right. I beg your pardon. So they've kind of sorted themselves out. Just behind there, we see Morgan McCall sitting in 11th with Hall in 12th. And then the rest of the field coming through behind them, and it's still thick behind them. If we go further back, Ryan Ottens, they're next to each other here. The cars are, there's two abreast as they go through Lesmo 1, and they're fighting all the way back. In fact, they are two abreast.
It's trying to go up on the inside of Ottens, pushing Ottens out wide. Little bit of contact. Isherwood also getting involved there. Isherwood's got the better drive out the corner, and lining up right next to Kutzer. And now let's see who's going to be famous on the brakes here. This is going to be tight.
This is going to be hairy. They're coming into the last chicane now.
Oh, you can see them just going and rubbing a little bit of paint. Otten's managing to just try and pull away. Isherwood goes flying, though. The McLaren growing wings and definitely becoming part of the Red Bull brand.
It was.
So
that turned into a wheelbarrow for a second. Wow. Okay.
We talk about moments where you hold your breath. I think that's one of them.
Yeah, definitely. Down in 18th for Mielen, LNR in the other Boatley. This is the Flying Banana car. But he's managed to get through safe and sound. So, okay, let's go back to the front. We got Jordan. And look at the Hybrid Academy guys. They are now close. Edison is right there. So he's starting to push. I'm sure they're going to be in comms. Steve, you think they're talking to each other and saying, well, what a nice day to drive around the Italian countryside?
I think there would be, that's a nice day to drive around the Italians, the Italian countryside at the same time of, hey, I'm a little bit faster through this corner. Can you please hurry it up? And this is where the advantage of having a teammate comes in. You can
look in the background. Oh, dear.
My heavens. Chaos kicking in. McGregor stopping in the middle of the circuit a little bit further back and trying to get himself all sorted out. But I think team comms are going to be an absolute crucial thing at this point.
Agreed.
To try and keep each other in tow, and also when it comes to pitting, to work out how to bounce off one another. We've seen it in GT3 racing, WEC racing, Formula 1 as well. So it is going to be very, very interesting. I see
Luke Edison is here, buddy. I'm sorry to jump on you there, but out of Ascari, and Luke Edison is right under the wing of Tariq Adams. So there's going to be a change happening. If he gets this drive through Parabolica now without running wide and hangs on to... Oh, he does. He goes in there much quicker than Tariq Adam, and he's going to have a huge draft down the main straight. We're going to see this happen now coming down to the first chicane.
Absolutely, and you don't want to fight your teammate here. You want to, if he's got the drive on you, give him a bit of space, let him go. But once again, we're all racers here, so it's kind of, if you want to get past me, you're going to have to work for it as well. So they're going to be going flat and very close to one another.
Wow.
I think if the team boss is currently watching, he's holding his breath big time.
Yes, today.
I would be very concerned.
I would be looking away.
These two are literally fighting. Adam coming back on Anderson and deciding, not this time, buddy. I'm going to keep the charge on. Remember how I was talking about they may be chatting to each other about how to work their way through? I think at this point it's move, move, move. I want that second place and go after first. And that's just allowing Scherer to open up that gap while they're duking it out with each other. And just take a look at your stream as well. They've got so much spray on them.
I know.
You can't actually see out these windscreens properly. I could see Adam's windscreen wiper going absolutely ballistic, but I'm not seeing Adam's windscreen even moving.
No. That view that we watched down the main straight, his windscreen wipers didn't look like they were on at all. So, but interesting position change. That was a huge dive going into T1, and that compromised his line out, and Tariq went and appropriately drove right past him again. Watching Lionel Clue down here in 7th place, he's slowly but surely coming up the grid. There was some dramas going through that second Variante chicane earlier, and a couple of people got turned around there. Deploy, who was up earlier in the Bentley, he's dropped down to 11th, so he was involved in that.
We've got a collision. That is Kutsia, who has turned round and stuck in the middle of the track, but that Aston looking a bit second-hand, and he's just trying to get it going. It looks like he had a little bit of collision. We did have Rosenbach a little bit earlier, who landed up with a massive, massive crash, and unfortunately, that took him out the race. And Kutsia and Fenter looked like they came together, and now they are in the pits trying to get some repairs done, but that's going to put them way, way back down the field.
It is.
Not what they wanted to deal with. Addison ahead of Adam, though, so a bit of a change-up at the front as well, but Adam looking to try and fight back once again. Bago Krobler just managing to keep it out the wall, coming out of the final bend.
Okay, when you give me another name, give me a position. It just helps me to get in quickly.
Will do. So that was Bago Krobler now going into 35th position.
That works well.
He went and lost the tail end and lost out a bit of time. I'm seeing another yellow flag coming in, and that is Ferreira. And where is Ferreira sitting? That was out of
that's 27th.
So lots of guys starting to lose the tail end. And what do you think? The guys are pushing it a little bit too hard, and now it is starting to fight back?
Yeah, look, everyone's still racing. I'm currently watching 25th, 26th, Tina and Kube in 25th, and there's 10 cars in this frame right here. This is all behind Keegan Masters in his Porsche. Brandon Kruger's involved, Bernard King's involved, Peter Westhuizen's involved. And these guys are all racing. Any position is actually going to be going to help you with points. So, yeah, Steve, I mean, the guys are trying to move forward. And as you can see, there's a lot of overtaking going on here, and guys are dicing for positions.
Absolutely. And taking a look at the front of Keegan Masters' Porsche, he's got a little bit of war wounds on the nose. Yeah. But still able to keep it going. But the guys are having to fight tooth and nail, and Masters having to take a little bit of evasive action as Jens van Rensburg came back onto circuit. Now is in front of the massive gaggle right behind.
They almost now went 3 abreast as they went to Parabolica. So on board now with the Bernard King. And he's in 27th, and they are almost 3 abreast. So that kind of tells you what kind of racing is going on all the way up and down this grid.
Absolutely. This is the pro tier, and we don't call them pros lightly. This is what they're able to do. Fight tooth and nail, go nose to tail with each other, and they trust each other to not make a mistake. I mean, they are going and making moves on some of the tightest corners that we have in our series, and that's just being shown right here from 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, all duking out. Bernard King really pushing hard to try and make up a bit of ground on Nkube, and let's see, will he be able to do it? He's got the drive on the back of Nkube. Nkube just managing to get a little bit earlier on the throttle, able to pull a bit of a gap, but Bernard is in the tow, but he is pulling a train along with him. And this is where it starts getting a little bit hectic in the cockpit, because you're watching in front of you, you're watching behind you, and you're just trying to keep it all in check. You're attacking and defending the entire time, and this is going to weigh you down. And considering, ladies and gentlemen, we are only at 1 hour and 8 minutes left of the race. We haven't even broken the hour mark yet.
No, we've
these
seen
guys are duking it out.
12 minutes of racing, and that's what's going on already. We're just watching Sean Skitter down in 18th in the Ferrari, and he is he's almost pushing Jason Isherwood for Retro Esports, and they are, as I say, there's dices happening all the way up and down the field. We are looking for the closest kind of fights. I just see up ahead Deploy in 11th place. And, you know, it doesn't matter where I go to now. They're all nose to tail. The cars are next to each other. Deploy right behind Lionel Clue with Ryan Ottens just behind him, and dicing flat out. Does the rain? No, it's not. I thought the rain might look like it's stopping, but no, the weather's 2 rows of raindrops for the next 30 minutes, so there's no break in the weather. These guys need to, they've got to basically sort out their positions and do the best they can with the conditions, which doesn't look like it's going to dry up, if you ask me, Steve.
Absolutely not. These guys are going to be pulling out their water wings to try and keep them going at this point. Lewis getting ahead of Contreras. Contreras messing up the corner, so that's a change for 6th and 7th. Morgan McCall also looking to try and take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And with Hall right behind, also giving chase. So this is where it starts getting a little bit interesting. When you start pushing it a little bit too hard in the wet, even in the dry, it's just you going that little bit hard, you're starting to make mistakes, you're starting to get that frustration kicking in. You have to slow yourself down. You have to take a breath and go and figure out what you're going to do later on in the race. You have to just try and keep the train. Get in tow with someone, but not get tunnel visioned that you'll land up following them if they make a mistake.
Our man, Mr. Sherritt, is 3.5 seconds up the road, lap 7. And Luke Addison has now put some daylight between himself and Tariq Adam by the best part of 1.5 seconds. So Sherritt out for ATK with in first place with Addison, and Adam following in second and third place, Hybrid Academy. Then we have Junior McCall from the ATK Academy, and then it's Bruno Cadile in 5th place. Those are your top 5 after 15 minutes of racing. So we still got an hour, 5 minutes to go. Long time left in this race. And that includes not a tactical, a have to pit stop, but the tactics are going to come into who's going to pit when. Are people running 1/3, 2/3, 50-50, 75-30? It all depends on what the fuel loads are like. And I think maybe some of the people might be running a later pit stop in the hopes that it dries and they can then switch over to slicks. But if you ask me, this looks like it's a soaking all day long.
No, I think this is where you bring your umbrella and you're going to be sitting in a wet tub for a long time type of rain. That is a definite. It is coming down thick and fast, and it's just going to make life even more interesting as the race goes on, as you start to get little pools of water on the apexes that you got to be very careful of. You don't want to aquaplay. And as much as Monza looks deceptively flat, it does have slight camber to it, and especially through Parabolica, if you go a little bit too close to the apex, you will start seeing little bits of puddles coming up, and all you need is one tire to hit a puddle, and you're going to lose it big time. So the guys are having to be very, very careful and maneuver their way around the circuit, and just try the driest, if I could say, the driest of lines. Basically, whatever line that the guys are driving through, and you nose to tail with them at that point. Because I think if you within half a second, there's still too much daylight, and it's just getting absolutely soaked again.
Ryan Barrington Smith currently in 22nd, looking at the back of Van Locherenberg's Bentley as they hammer down the front straight. Here we are at the chicane, and nice braking. Both cars into the first chicane. Ryan Barrington gets a good drive, but the Bentley's low end grunt will pull it out that chicane just as quickly, and off they go around for another lap. They are already on to their 8th lap.
One to keep an eye out is 17th and 16th. That is Skitter chasing down Jason Ishwood. Jason made a mistake a little bit earlier on, and now Skitter's all over the back of him, and Kleb slowly reeling them in every little bit. So now this is where it starts getting a little bit interesting. You have to try and keep the tow, pull yourself along, but is it worth going on the attack right now? So this is where the race starts evolving. So you as a team leader, how would you judge. If you're in Skitter's position right now, he's 0.5 of a second right behind Isherwood. Isherwood's making small mistakes. It's costing him little bits of time. He's starting to get that tunnel vision. And as I say that, Isherwood makes a big mistake. Skitter gets by, and Kleb immediately onto the back of Isherwood. So now the am to play, going up on the inside, late on the brakes, really trying to hammer the Aston through. And Isherwood tries going for a cutback, unfortunately not close enough to make it. Blue, though, losing it right in front of them.
Yeah, there was a car around there. You 100% correct. So a change is happening everywhere. I tell you, it's that corner is an extremely tricky corner. The Ascari chicane. It's not a matter of just left, right, left. There's also a huge drainage system in that corner, and the guys are putting their wheels in there, which is turning and flicking the car and unsettling the car. And you desperately have to get a good drive out of that corner to get the long run down the back straight, a good drive through Parabolica, and then the drive up the front straight. And that whole overtaking move will start all the way back from Ascari. If you get a bad exit from Ascari, guaranteed you will have lost the position by the time you get to the first chicane. That's how this works. The sport works 3 corners back or looking 4 corners ahead. It doesn't matter which way you think about it.
Absolutely. And if we go up to 8th and 9th, busy duking out, that's Contieri's duking it out with Hall. Hall currently has got the toe behind the Lamborghini, trying to utilize the top end of the McLaren, but having to go very late on the brakes, trying to get, you can see there is no gap. One mistake from these drivers and they can bin each other's races, but just absolutely knowing each other's lines. But Hall losing out that little bit of time now has to try and fight back once again. But no ways you could put your hand in between the middle of these guys. They are literally trying to make a train by themselves.
Yeah, we just watched from our brave helicopter who's out there in that weather. Hall came in a little bit hotter than Contreras, ran very deep through that last corner and has dropped off the back. But as you say, these guys are taking different lines and looking for, I don't know, I suppose they're looking for a smooth or a dry line, but there's no dry line. So it's the least wet line would be the right way to say that, I guess. But Contreras is doing very well in the Lamborghini, currently in 8th place, has kept his nose clean, didn't get involved in any of the dramas that did happen in the first 10-15 minutes, and he's up there.
Absolutely. A little bit further down, 14th and 15th place, that is Kleb leading out. He's got Fenter all over the back of him. Isherwood pushing hard to get back, and he is pulling the likes of Radloff, Peterson and Van Longenberg right behind him. Fenter really going late on the brakes, trying to go up on the inside of Kleb. Out-brakes himself.
Totally.
Though. So now he drops back, and it's in the line of sight for the one and only Isherwood in the McLaren. So this is where it starts getting tricky. One mistake can set you back so much. And now Fenter has to go from attacking to defending within a blink of an eye.
That's true. And his team is not too far back, Radloff. So the 2 LNR cars, the flying bananas, there's a whole story about that, but I'll mention that another day. Yeah, these guys, as you say, you're on the attack one corner and you put a foot wrong, and the next thing you've got Isherwood looking to take a position back, and now you've got to run a defensive line, which is then going to compromise. And look here, just behind Isherwood, here comes Radloff. So Radloff is now pushing to attack the is it Radloff?
That's from Milan. That's
no, it's from Milan. I beg your pardon, but he's not in position then.
No, from Milan's trying to pull himself back up, and now he has got Radloff all over the back of him. This is where it gets a little bit interesting, because from Milan moving out the way, he sees a blue flag, he's letting Radloff go, but was on the attack, and well, he had to calm himself down and say, whoa, I don't want to get involved with this race. I'm a little bit down at the moment. I need to try and concentrate on working my way back up through the grid safely and not going and binning anyone else's races.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Paul Fenter. It wasn't Radloff. It is for Milan. but he is a lap down. As you can see, he's pitted already, so that's why I was saying he's out of position, because he wasn't on the timing screen in that race. He is in fact a lap down from these guys, so that kind of makes sense of what we were seeing happen there just now. And it was Radloff in the Lexus that was actually racing. As we see, we're watching Vermeulen and Deploy. No, it's not Deploy. So who's in this BWR Mercedes? He just got really sideways coming out of the second chicane, but he manages to hold that position. So
that is Peters, who managed to keep it all in check.
Good man.
So the guys having to really try and work their way around and join the Fast and Furious movies by hooking it sideways. And much to everyone's thoughts of, oh, well, it's easy to catch a slide in the rain. Remember, they've got their traction control turned up as well. So they're fighting not only the conditions, but the car physically itself wants to try pull itself straight.
Indeed.
And if you're sideways, it's going to get grip, and it might get grip at the worst possible time. That's for certain.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of mathematics involved in driving in these conditions. Just watching now, my camera is okay. There is rain. It was just the angle of that camera, but it looked like it was drying up. We're just watching McCall as he exits the first chicane. Junior McCall in 4th place. He is the best part of 6 seconds back by the looks of things. The gap between Addison and Adams now 2 seconds, and Kadelia up in 5th. So no change there. Lewis now up into 6th place. So Lewis is busy driving back from an early problem. Morgan McCall also up into 7th place, not too far back. And Dwayne Hall in 8th place. Dwayne Hall also managing to just stay out of other people's dramas. He's got the McLaren running well. It doesn't look bad. I can't see any damage on it. So Retro Electro, Dwayne Hall 9th. Ayrton Contreras in the Lamborghini, and Ryan Ottens rounds out our top 10.
Well, Ryan Ottens has got some massive pressure on the back of him, as he's got Van Wyk, who is chasing him down. The two Astons going to try and battle it out. So let's see, will Van Wyk be able to catch up to Ottens? You can see Ottens definitely has the straight line pace, but Van Wyk is making up a bit of ground through the corners and trying to work his way closer and closer every single time. But at the same time, you don't want to get tunnel vision or get caught into the guy's spray and lose your braking marker, which it only takes a split second to miss that 200-meter board or 150-meter board, and that's your race done and dusted.
These guys also have to watch out, as we said earlier, about off-track excursions. And as I say that, Van Wyk peels off into the pits. So Van Wyk's one of the first of the early pit stops. Well, not really. There were some earlier, but I think that was damage. I think this is scheduled. So Van Wyk in already. YouTube channel Nicola van Rensburg shouting for the Janse van Rensburg, Bertus, and Bertus currently in 23rd place. There's some cars all over the place in the pit lane. I don't understand what's going on there, but anyway. So just sub one hour to go. Jordan Sherritt, 6.5 seconds clear of Luke Addison. I think he's out having a Sunday afternoon drive, if you ask me.
Well, I would say something, but my foot's currently in my mouth. Good and proper, so doesn't taste very nice. But I am impressed at Addison and Adam duking it out with each other a little bit earlier. Now they've opened up a bit of gap to one another, and I'm sure there's a bit of planning that's going through after, well, racing tooth and nail and swapping paint more than once. They've decided to relax it a little bit and think of the long game. So I'm sure there's a bit of a sigh of relief in the pits there for the two cars, and hoping they don't go and take each other out. So it's always very difficult when you have your teammate racing with you, because you want to race your teammate, you want to work together, but let's be honest, you also want to beat them as well. We might not have a driver 1, driver 2 in some of these teams, but it's there. We know about it. It will niggle and go and gnaw at you right until the end.
Yeah, I think there's some, now and then there will be some team orders that will come into effect, but predominantly I think most of the guys are out there to race.
Well, Isherwood getting past Vermeulen, but Vermeulen really trying to get on the back of him. So it's interesting, even though Vermeulen is out of position, he is still pushing very, very hard to stay on the back of every single driver to get as much tow as possible
Yeah.
on the Monza straight. So he has to be clever about this. He doesn't want to bin the other guy's race. He doesn't want to bin his race. But at the same time, you want to utilize every advantage you've got to pull yourself up through the field.
20th place. Go and have a look. Bertus Janssen van Rensburg and Bernard King side by side as they tear down the main straight into the first chicane. These guys are having a full-on race.
Absolutely nose to tail. McLaren leading it out, and we've got Bernard King, who is in the Aston Martin. De Wet going in the Aston Martin as well, getting the tow, trying to pull himself along. This is where it gets a little bit interesting. Let's see, will the front engines be able to cruise their way around, as we've seen the Astons being the reliable, the all reliable car to jump to. May not be the fastest, but can take the curbs. Or you have the McLaren, which is a little bit more aggressive, has got the pace, but, well, it's got a nasty bite to it if you treat it badly.
Yeah, but I think, yes. Listen, let's have a look again at some of the top ranking drivers. Your Honziks and company, most of them are go-tos for the Aston Martin. It's a very stable platform. It does have a good turn of speed on certain tracks, but the McLaren also is a very quick car as long as you don't abuse it. But then again, I think they all have their own little quirks and issues, and the drivers who drive them, you know, Masters has been driving the Porsche for the best part of 2 years. Every time I've seen him in this league is in that Porsche. He knows that car inside out. I doubt he ever gets spun around or turned around. It's just, you know, he's used to it now. So I think the drivers get used to the handling and the characteristics, and they either stick with the car, or if it gets BOP'd out of competition or whatever, then they will go and change and jump to a new car.
BOP, that's for faster drivers. I don't think any driver that's my pace suffers from BOP. We just suffer from trying to find where the throttle is.
Right.
It's the middle pedal, right?
Tino and Colby in 19th place, and he is looking at the back of Masters in his Porsche. These guys are nose to tail, and I just caught the end of them down the main straight. Masters having to run defensive with the Porsche, and Colby's looking very strong in the big AMG Mercedes. And we watch them as they go through the second chicane and head down to Lesmo 1. Behind them, still Bernard King and Van Rensburg still having a go at each other. So good dices all the way up and down the field, and I will try and pick up all these dices through the course of the race as best as possible. We are down to sub 50 minutes, so we're in the vicinity of 10 minutes time. That'll be 50% of the race done at 40 minutes, and that's when I think the pit stops are going to happen. The pits are going to get extensively busy.
Absolutely. And now I'm going to lean once again at your gift of trying to suss out drivers,
okay,
and suss out pit stops, because you managed to suss me out more than once. It's under 50 minutes. You've got majority of the field that still haven't pitted.
Yeah.
When do you start thinking about bringing into the pits? Are you going to try and run the full tank empty? Or are we going to see a little bit more early pit stops coming in? Oh, as taking a look at 32nd, we got Barrington Smith through Palabolica going and doing a complete 360 and able to get himself going once again.
Oh, good
but
day.
I just want to inquire from your side, who do you think, or what's the sort of strategies you got to be looking at to try and move your way up? And as soon as that starts coming in, you start planning of who's net first.
Yeah, listen, on a couple of tracks and a couple of races, I've seen the undercut has proved to be extremely popular and very successful. So an early pit stop versus the guys running late, I think well, I think we covered this earlier when we said, you know, the guys are going to maybe hope that the rain stops and then they can maybe change to slicks. So some drivers are going to have a 3/4, 1/4 preset in the car, but whether they use all of that or not is going to be for anybody's call. But looking at the weather isn't going to change. It doesn't look like it's going to be a wet dry race, which I think maybe they were hoping for. It's going to be wet from beginning to end. In that case, I think it's going to... Who are you watching? Where is it?
I just looked at Oosthuizen pulling out of the pit lane. He just did it and got a stop-go penalty.
Oh,
30 seconds as he got out of the pits. What not to have at Monza.
Yeah. Okay, so that's dropping the pit lane limiter a little bit too early, I think. So, oh, that's terrible luck. But really, you've only got yourself to blame for anything related to the pit stop and getting a penalty around the pit stop. But yeah, so to answer that, I don't know, Steve. I think it's pretty much it's a bit of this and a bit of that. If you're in traffic, pit. If you're out in the open, drive until the tank's, you know, in drops. That I think is the first thing that I always say to Kieran or any other driver. If you're in traffic and you're being held up, you might as well pit. Get the car in the pits. You stand a better chance of getting a faster lap time once you come out the pits, and you won't be in traffic. So, you know, that tactic's got to come into play.
If these cars were made in the 80s and the 90s, I would say until the rag that's over the carburetors hasn't got enough fumes left in it to keep the car going when you're in the open. But I'm taking a look back at 13th and 14th place, and that's Peters and Radloff, who are duking it out nose to tail still and getting very close to one another. So interesting to see the Mercedes duking it out with the Lexus as they make their way around. Right behind them, Isherwood trying to catch up with Vermeulen still right on the tail of them and pushing as hard as he can. So Vermeulen's not off the race pace, but definitely early race
he had the problem. That's right.
Really pushed him way down the field.
Yeah, he had to put. He had a huge collision in the first 10 minutes. I saw it happening through the second chicane. And he's unfortunately, he's put paid to his own race. But as you say, he's running at the pace of these guys. So, you know, had he not had that problem, he would have been in this race with his teammate. But right now, he's just struggling. And as I say that, Radloff peels off by the looks of it. So Radloff's hit the pit lane. He has. So he's coming in pretty much clockwork, 44 minutes or mid-race. I think from here now we're going to see everybody from him and upwards start peeling off and getting getting pit stops done and dusted and out the way. And anybody that's running in traffic, they will come in before the other people.
Well, can I point out something that's a little bit more...
Do that.
Not quite sure. Go take a look at the front of Sherritt's car. I think it's seen better days, actually.
Oh, my word. Will you look at this Mercedes?
That's a different way of trying to get air into the engine. That's for certain.
Yeah, we missed something here.
What on earth happened to him? But this is definitely not going to help him, as by the looks of it, is heavy damage.
Wow.
And he's got Luke Anderson and Adam chasing him down, both 3 seconds behind. And you can be sure they have been told, go, guys, go. You've got a wounded
Here he comes.
Sherritt.
Yep. There in the background, that Bentley, I think that's Paul Fenter's car. I think he's just run very deep into the final corner. And I think possibly, is it Fenter or is it... Here's Paul Fenter. It was Fenter. So I think possibly Sherritt arrived at somebody who was running a bit slow and he's literally hammered them. Or he lost control of the car and he's just hit a tire barrier himself. But... he's in the pits, and there's going to be a lot of damage. So here we go. We might have a curveball. We might have a curveball, Steve.
I'm watching his pits. He had to reverse back to try get in the pit box. So that is just losing our time as well. So from putting fuel in, which takes 15 seconds, he's got on top of that damage, plus missing the pit box by just a fraction. Has this just gone and changed
Yeah.
the front end completely? Now it is up to Anderson, Adam, and McCall to just put as much of a gap as possible around so they can do a quick pit and get back out there. But this is, I told you, this has just flipped the entire grid on its head.
Yeah, it has.
This is what the Custom Cut IT Solutions GT3 Championship is. You can never guess who is going to get anywhere because these drivers know how to, well, make us work for what we do here in the commentary box.
He's still there. He hasn't moved yet, but he has been joined by Nkobe in his Mercedes. So they're both in the pit. There he goes. He's just off the Jackson rolling now. And Luke Addison is into the last corner. So it's pretty much a complete lap that Chariot has had to pit for. And does Luke come in now or does he go past? No, he's going on.
At this point, for me personally, I would have just dived into the pits, get that top fuel up and keep pushing. You know that he's got that little bit of a gap, but maybe with having his teammate behind pressuring him, saying, well, I got to keep ahead. It's for maximum points here. You've got Junior McCall, who is trying to keep up the pace. He's lost a bit of time to Adam. He's 11.7 seconds behind. And he's got Bruno Cadili 3.8 seconds behind. And Junior and Bruno have got a long history with each other. Yeah. And I'm sure Cadili is licking his lips at this point going, come on, Junior, let's have another shot at going for that checkered flag at the end.
Yeah, Luke Addison will stay out because he's going to drive the car with no fuel. The car's quicker with no fuel. So he's going to be putting in laps now to try and make this gap between him and Jordan. As is Tariq Adam. But yeah, I was just having a chuckle as they were also picking it up on the YouTube. You seem to be joining Addison and Adam, and you're coming up with an Anderson surname. There's no Anderson here, Steve. Sorry, buddy.
I do apologize. My bad.
All good, man. So there we go. We do have two other pitters. Morgan McCall's in with Hall. So they've just come in from 8th, 7th, 8th. And yeah, we're now going to see the pit stop start happening. And we're going to see the changes happen. Sherrod is completed and he's out. And he is, where is he? He's in 22nd position right now. And I was watching him, I must be honest, just before we actually jumped to the damage that you picked up. And he certainly wasn't deadly smooth. I mean, I saw him go around Parabolica and the steering wheel, he was sawing at the steering wheel. And he was, as you said, very offline. So the car's not on rails and he's been fighting it. But obviously at the pace he's going, he's running risk of the car running off. And, you know, unless there was a drama that he had to avoid, I'd say he possibly lost control and he hammered a tire wall somewhere, and that was that damage we saw. And I think that's going to hurt him overall. But
absolutely. Now taking a look at 4th and 5th, it's Bruno Cadili and McCall, Junior McCall, pulling into the pits together. And now it is basically just get into the pit box, get on those jacks, get fuel in, and get going. When you think you're trying to undercut someone, you both pit at the exact same time. You're sitting with your controls locked. You can't get out, and you're watching the guy ahead of you or behind you, and you're waiting for the moment where they just drop you down and get going. I'm sure it is the longest amount of time these guys are currently in the pits for them.
Yeah, Ken A on YouTube saying, just like he said, tonight Jordan's not taking this one. So Ken, you might be right on the money. We're going to have to watch and see what happens. Steve, you were talking about an undercut, and I'll tell you what, Mr. Brian Lewis has just blasted his way into 3rd place, and he is attempting to get past Bruno Cadili and company that pitted just ahead of him. So if he can nail 1 or 2 quick laps now, when he goes in, we'll see the difference, because he wasn't too far off the back of Bruno Cadili when Bruno went in. And that'll then give us a genuine view on an undercut being successful if Lewis can pit and come out ahead of Bruno.
This is turning into quite a race, Alan. When we started way back, Did you ever think
I did.
that we're going to be guessing who is going to take first place?
The silence is deafening. I mean, you know, what can you say? You kind of think, no, it's going to be a walk in the park, and it pretty much was for a long time, but it's not over. We're only halfway through the race, so let's see what his pace is coming back from where he is. He's on the board. He's in 21st, 20th place, somewhere there or thereabouts. Oh, he's up to 17th. So, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 green cars ahead of him. So there are 6 lapped, at least pitted cars that have come out ahead of him. That goes to show how much damage he had to repair on that car.
Well, there's a very old saying that has been true for so many years, and I think you know the saying.
The tortoise and the hare.
Well, not
No.
the tortoise and the hare. More on the lines of, it isn't over until the fat lady sings.
That's true. 100%.
And, well, we're at Monza. We've got the checkered flag, which we're trying to keep warm because at the moment it is getting soaked at this point. And we've got the drivers all giving it everything they got right until the end. This is going to be a very, very interesting finish.
Yeah.
And for only round number 2 of the season, I can't wait to see what's going to happen. Round 3, round 4, when the guys are giving it everything they can. I thought Nürburgring was exciting. Monza's just gone and thrown Nürburgring a proper curveball.
100%.
So this is going to be quite a bit of fun.
Watching Luke Addison now as he comes around Parabolica, and is he coming? He isn't. So Luke's running a 70-30 fuel stop, as is Tarek. They probably brimmed the cars, and they've decided to go long, and they're running in free traffic, as you can see, putting in good lap times. The gap 2.7 seconds, so they pretty much rapid right where they are. Lewis still in 3rd place. So we got to wait, and there he is. So Lewis is in now. So now we're going to see the undercut between Lewis and Bruno Cadile. Okay, so let's see what happens. McCall and Cadile went in together, and as they went in, Lewis went past. So Lewis has just pitted now 2 laps later. He's stopped. He's in the pits. And let's see what happens from here. Where is Junior? Junior's ahead. So he's just gone through the 3rd chicane. He's on the long back straight. So if Lewis doesn't have any damage to repair, he should come off the jacks and start rolling soon.
This is exciting. Well, he's coming out the pits now.
He's rolling. He's
rolling. Let's see, but Contieri is ahead of him. Ryan Otten's also looking to get ahead. Peters still pushing hard. It looks like Peters is trying to make a bit of ground.
Where's Brian? He's not out yet. So Junior's gone past. Here comes Bruno Cadile. He's just gone over the start-finish line, and Lewis is out now. So that's an undercut working for you. He has gone past Bruno by staying out by 2 laps.
And to anyone that thinks that having your pit limiter on and driving down pit lane when you're in Lewis's shoes, you're pushing that throttle right through the floorboard at that point.
You're bending it.
You're trying to get every little bit of millimeter of movement, even though that you are limited. You are just trying to egg the car that little pace forward.
He couldn't get out that pit lane fast enough, but there we go. So good recovery there. And he's essentially net overall 3rd place right now behind McCall, who's leading, and Hall, who's in 2nd, until the rest of these guys. And as I say that, Ryan Ottens pits from 4th. So we need to see Addison and Tarek come in. And I think that'll then put the status quo back in place. They're going to be 1st and 2nd position, and Junior is going to be in 3rd place. So I was there or thereabouts with my call, because I had Junior in 3rd, but I still had Sherritt in 1st. But yeah, he's not going to be there, I don't think. He's in 14th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there are 6 cars ahead of him.
I think at this point, the fire's lit underneath him, and he's trying to make up as many places as possible. But it's going to be a tall ask to get right back into the top 5. May be able to do it. Well, I guess we're about to find out. So let's see how the race is going to turn out. Ryan Otten's just exiting pits now. Hall coming right past him as fast as possible. And now it is heading into turn 1. This is always where I find it's very, very tricky, because as you're coming out of the pit lane, you have got the tightest possible line going through, and you just have to try and keep it clean. And Otten's doing everything he can to just try and keep that car clean as he makes his way out and around.
Watching 24th position at the moment, Janse van Rensburg, who is still harassing Keegan Masters in his Porsche. These guys pretty close, 3/10 apart as they go through the final corner onto the start-finish straight. And we're down to the last 30 minutes of this race. There we go. Tariq Adams in the pits. Luke goes through in the Aston. So Tariq's in the McLaren. And this could be a little bit of a tactical call. Tariq may be deciding, as does Contreras, pit from 3rd. So here we go. The top 5 still need to all pit, but we have Tariq in. And I think he's playing a little bit of a strategic game to see if he can do an undercut with Luke Addison. So let's see what transpires here. Peters, mind you, Derek Peters has just snuck himself into 4th place. Oh, and as I watch Addison come between Lesmo 1 and 2, we see Skitter's Ferrari has turned round in between the 2 Lesmos. I think he's recovered.
Not a nice place to stop. It doesn't look like he's got too much damage on the car, so he's up and going. Now, I'm going to pull a bit of a G moment here. Old G Max, I'm going to pull one of his moments and talk about the color schemes that some of these drivers have got on their cars.
Yes.
And that has to go Janse van Rensburg having quite a standout color scheme. And then you've got Masters, who's more of a Napoleon ice cream look on his Porsche.
Neapolitan, you mean?
Yes, Neapolitan.
That's it. I agree entirely. The first thing you think of when you see Keegan's Porsche is a tub of ice cream. But yeah, the BWR guys have gone very colorful this year with their liveries. It's great to see the development of some of the liveries happen. BWR definitely. The Hybrid Academy guys have got a much more polished look to their liveries. And the liveries look stunning, I must say. I've just realized, we're missing Mr. Daniel Rowe from Hybrid Academy in tonight's race, and we haven't seen him, so he obviously couldn't make it tonight. But Bego Krobler's there, and he's running around in 21st place for Hybrid Academy. Here you can see him in the McLaren, and the cars look superb. The color schemes look amazing.
Well, Addison is in the pits. Adam is making his way around Parabolica, and let's see what he will be able to do. So, Luke now exiting with his teammate going to take first place away from him. And I'm not quite sure what Isherwood's doing, but he is maximizing fuel usage at this point. Yep. He is the only car that hasn't pitted in this entire race.
Steve, look at the undercut. Look where Addison is, and look where Tariq is.
Okay, this is going to be a very interesting run between the teammates.
Yeah, but Tariq's through the first chicane and on his way down to Lesmos. So he's passed, and with spare change, 5, 6, 7 seconds up the road from Luke. So either Luke was carrying a bit of damage, or he's put in a lot of fuel. Ken A saying on the YouTube channel, Luke and Tariq were very heavy with fuel. All right, we've worked that out because they've only pitted now with 30 minutes left. So they were running a 60, 40, 70, 30 kind of split. But yeah, big pity that Jordan crashed. It would have been a good dice to see them have a good race with Hybrid Academy. But there we go. JC Krobler, how's it, buddy? And he's saying Tariq didn't change tires and Luke did. So that's what the difference is there. That's why there's such a big gap here. Thank you for sharing there, my man. We wouldn't have known any better, so good stuff.
It's also strange to see JC Hrobler in the comments and not on the circuit.
No, exactly. What are you doing there? Can you multitask, or have we just not seen you on the track?
One of the pro drivers going and watching his friends go around the circuit as fast as they can.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic to see that crowd being not only the guys that love watching the sim racing. We've also got our friends going and cheering us on, giving us gears more than once as well, but having a bit of fun with us here on the live stream. Absolutely incredible racing.
Jason Isherwood's just gone past for another lap. So he's been driving for 50 minutes with the McLaren. So he's the only driver to still yet to pit. And he's in second place.
I wonder if Isherwood at this point is going for that really late
splash and dash.
Splash and dash. You know that when you chuck in 5 liters, and that's pretty much what you've got for the splash and dash, because he is giving it everything he's got.
He is.
But I am amazed of how long he's able to carry that much fuel, considering the amount of dices he was involved in.
True.
Where he's having to try and outpower guys. So that's hats off to him on that.
Definitely. He's managed to pull a strategy that's working for him. He's got to be on fumes or getting there. And yeah, he's going to have to do a 20-minute, which is going to be 30 liters, maybe 35 liters, and then see how he can go from there. Lewis having an awesome dice here on the back of Mr. Hall, and these guys are within a second of each other. So
I wouldn't count out Ryan Ottens, who's still creeping up, and Kadili is also lurking in the wings, going and lurking in the wings a little bit there. This is going to be very, very interesting. The more that they race, the more it plays into Otten and Kadili's hands as well.
This is 5, 6, 7, and 8 in a single frame. So coming to the final quarter of this race, and it's closing up for certain positions. Adam out in the lead, 28 laps. Oh my word, as I see somebody in an Aston going very deep, and wow, I'm convinced I just saw Kadili hit him. Was that Ryan Ottens?
I think that was Ryan Ottens who went a little bit deep.
Jeez, he caught that very well. I tell you what, he was all over the track, and he actually went over the front nose of Kadili, and neither of them spun. So that was amazing.
I'm sure there was a deep breath moment there from Kadili at that point, and Otten's also taking an incredibly deep breath.
I don't think it was a breath. I think it was holding the breath. I think there was no air escaping for 20 seconds.
That moment where the steering wheels have gone from round to just folded in on itself, I think.
Yeah.
But definitely some great racing, and it's always a joy to go and see the guys, having those close calls, but still managing to keep it together and still keep pushing, because even though they lost a little bit of time, they're not too far behind the likes of Hall and Lewis, who are duking it tooth and nail. Hall going and missing the chicane slightly, losing the drive. Lewis going side by side. Lewis going and taking the position. Now Hall having to go and fight. So this is where it gets interesting. 24 minutes and Kadili right onto the back of them as well.
Yeah, good dice going on here. JC explaining SimGrid Sprint Cup taking priority. So that, that makes entire sense why he's not on the track. And I understand now the undercut wasn't a pure racing thing. It did have to do with the lack of changing tires. So let's see what happens. But we've just jumped back here to Hall and Lewis, but I just wanted to show you Luke Addison currently in third place, and he is now coming up to traffic. So he's not going to get any closer to Tarek towards the end, because he's going to have to deal with the traffic that's ahead of him. Although they should get out of the way, but he doesn't have it all his own way at the moment. Isherwood still to pit. So Isherwood will come out of second place. That'll put Luke into second place with Junior into third. Okay, there the Bentley gets out the way. So 23 minutes to go, and now we're into the final stretch as far as the race goes, barring Jason Isherwood still having to do his pit.
Absolutely, but I'm maintaining a focus on 5th, 6th, and 7th, duking it out once again.
Oh, Kadili.
Kadili just having to outbrake himself majorly, just really lunging to try and make up a bit of ground. Lewis able to get a slightly better drive than Hall, but there is nothing in it between all three of these drivers, and Otten slowly trying to claw his way back, but it is going to be a tall ask at this point.
Yeah, currently in the car with Bruno in the McLaren, looking at his driver inputs as he's looking ahead at the back of Hall and Lewis, and you can see the amount of spray and the quality of vision. It's good enough. I mean, the guys are driving hard, so but the car's looking very slippery, and Bruno seeming to have a good control over the McLaren, but he's ready to pounce should Hall and Lewis have another moment just up ahead of him.
And that is what everyone's waiting for. Is he going to be able to make that move? Will Lewis keep trying to expand that gap? He's starting to open up a little fraction by fraction.
Isherwood in the pits.
So now Isherwood down into the pits, and we're going to see Adam, Addison, and McCall going first, second, and third so far. We can't call it because, well,
you never know what's going to happen.
It's only over when you cross the checkered flag. Yeah. That's it.
And we're in Monza, so there's going to be an opera singer that's going to be somewhere here that's going to start wailing. It's not going to be me, so... but all right, yeah. Look, jokes aside, 20 minutes to go. Jordan Sherritt in 10th. That'll be net 9th, I guess, once Isherwood comes. Once they pass Isherwood in the pits. So he definitely accumulated a lot of damage, whatever happened with him. So Tariq Adam out in first place, and Luke carrying a bit of ballast himself. We're 9, almost 10 seconds back there, so that's what the I'm not going to change tires made the difference for Tariq. Very interesting strategy going on there.
Well, taking a look at who's got what ballast. Adam has got 18 kgs of ballast.
Okay.
Well, Addison has got 6 kgs, and you got Junior who's running 24 kgs. Well, Sherritt down in 9th place has got 30 kgs on him, with Morgan McCall chasing him down with 12 kgs of ballast.
So how much has Junior got?
Junior has got 24 kgs of ballast.
Wow, and he's in 3rd. He's doing very well, that youngster.
So,
jeez.
I mean, they've got a passenger in their car that they're having to contend with.
All right, an anorexic passenger, but a passenger nonetheless. It could be a young kid. Yes, okay, a couple of bags of sugar. I get it. Right, Sherritt in 9th place. He is 8/10 off the back of Gerber. Gerber just up ahead of him, and then the gaps. 1.5, 1 second, 0.8. So 5th, 6th, 7th, from 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. The gaps aren't that big here. So let's see. I think obviously it's going through Jordan Sherritt's head right now. Damage limitation. He's got to try and get as far up this grid as he can to get the best result he can to carry his first place from Nürburgring across. But yeah, this is pure damage control. Tariq Adam, he's got it's up to him to lose this race because he's had an awesome tactical race and he's out by 9.5 seconds.
Well, if I could bring a camera forward to 4th and 5th, Hall all over the back of Lewis, really chasing him down and trying to force a mistake out of Lewis now. So Hall is looking left and right and trying to force Lewis to go later and later on the brakes. Kadili losing out the time to these two who are, well, they're using each other's toe at this point and pulling themselves along while duking out Lewis on the dirt. getting unsettled. That's allowed Hall to get a better drive at him. Is it going to be enough as they make their way down underneath the bridge? Who's going to be later on the brakes? Will Lewis try and keep it going? Managing to keep it clean. He's got slightly better drive.
He's done well there.
Over the sausage curb. Oh my heavens, this is turning into such a tight race between these two drivers.
Helicopter view, and Hall definitely right in the slipstream. He's actually lifted as he got to the braking point, so he's got to hold a tight apex through Parabolica and then climb on it and try and hang with the slipstream of the Audi, and he does. I guarantee Lewis is going to run defensive, and he's up against the pit wall. He can't go further right than this. But he's actually got a little bit of daylight. Yeah, he's running defensive. You can see that. So Hall's going to go now. Now Lewis moves back to the normal line, so he's safe for this braking point. But should he make one mistake, Hall's going to jump all over it.
That's absolutely correct. And it's incredible to see Lewis and Hall have been battling it out for quite a while in this race. And they are not giving each other any break whatsoever. It's incredible to see our pro tier drivers just really showing what they can do and how long they can stay in a sustained fight and still keep up their incredible pace despite the difficult conditions that they're racing in.
I'll tell you what, there's an interesting discussion going on here. Ken A is obviously in correspondence with the Hybrid Academy boys. And although Tariq is up the road, that gap was 9.5 seconds, 9.7 seconds just now. It's now 8.4. Oh, as I say that, Lewis has just driven off the track. My word, did he take a long time to get back on the track. And here they come. Hall is next to him and going right past him. But, they're saying Luke doesn't believe he can chase him down. So Luke's got 16 minutes to close down an 8-second gap, and he's got better tires. Who didn't change tires? Tariq didn't change tires.
This is going to be a bit of an interesting... I think at this point, what Luke needs to do is take a deep breath and go, right, I can chase down Adam. And he needs to knuckle down and focus. Needs to take the negative thought of, I'm not going to catch him. Chuck it aside. He's got the pace. He's got the fresh tack he's on. He can do it. It's all about just giving it absolutely everything right until the end. Yeah, it isn't over.
Tariq didn't change tires, so Luke is on fresher tires, and that's why that gap is going to slowly but surely come down. He's got 15 minutes to close down an 8-second gap, and there's a reasonably good sized bet going on YouTube right now. This is going to be interesting. JC Krobler betting a bottle of KWV on this result with Ken. So let's watch this with interest, because the gap right now is 8 seconds. It's 1.5 seconds less than it was a lap and a half ago. So I don't know. Maybe he doesn't have enough time, but let's see what Addison can do here. Further back, third place, McCall, that position is there. Oh, Lewis. They're close again. Let's go back there.
Lewis and Hall still duking it out with each other. No gap in between them. This is absolutely incredible. And you can see Kadili trying to reel them in. And it is turning into a rough time.
It is.
But take a look. Sherritt up into 8th place. He's trying to boot past Ryan Ottens now. And, he's slowly trying to do a little bit of damage control at this point. But now he's into the top end of the field where no one wants to lose out any positions whatsoever. So Sherritt's going to have to fight incredibly hard. And
this is driver skill now that you're going to see happening.
Lewis up on the inside of Hall. Hall coming for the cutback. Lewis going out wide. Hall going and retaking the position. So Hall managing to hold back Lewis after a little bit of swapping of position. So absolutely incredible racing between the two of these drivers.
Here comes the first corner. Here comes the first corner. Here's another braking point. Ooh.
Lewis did take a big look.
He did.
But decided he's not going to take that jump just as yet. Sherrod also trying to make his way, just taking a look in the background. So Sherrod duking it out with Ottens. Ottens not giving him a single gap. But Lewis and Hall throughout the race, nose to tail, duking it out. I think once these guys cross the checkered line, they're going to sit back in their rigs and say, wow, now that was a race.
Yeah, Sherrod definitely all over the back of Ottens, but just ahead of him is the Kadele, Lewis and Hall fight. He's not going to progress much further than that. So I'd say best case scenario, Jordan will get to 7th. We're going to see him and Kadele soon if he does get past Ryan Ottens. But Ken A on YouTube saying, well, basically sitting right next to Luke Addison. So that's why we've got inside information here. But Luke Addison, that gap now down to 7.2 from 9.5. So it's coming down. It's going in the southerly direction. Sherrod having a look now. So I think Sherrod's going to be past Ottens by the end of the next lap. Heading onto the back straight now and down towards Parabolica. Sherrod gets a great drive out of that corner. Ryan Ottens moves across and Sherrod stays where he is next to him, and the position is done.
Well, now Sherrod has to deal with a battle that has been raging on.
Yeah.
Lewis managing to pull a bit of a gap. Hall going a little bit wide. Kadele immediately getting right onto the back of Hall. So this is now the three-way battle between them. Will Kadele have enough pace to get past Hall and close up the gap to Lewis, who is just ahead? Sherrod.
Kadele is diving. He's looking. All right, he's pulled back in. He's now in the zone. So all of a sudden, Hall's run to. He's outdone himself. He missed his braking point there. He's surely got to give that position back.
Or he's going to keep his foot in it.
He is.
And Kadele immediately on the back of him puts his nose in and is forcing Hall a little bit wider every single time.
That caused that was a driver's mistake. He's looking again. So now he's compromising his line through the chicane. So his exit's slow, and Kadele is going to have this as they get to Lesmo 1.
And Sherrod there just staring at the back of two McLarens who are duking it out
that's good driving.
Side.
Sure.
Absolutely incredible. Now, the one that's going to be a major thing for Sherrod is which way does he go, considering both cars keep going side by side with one another.
Look at the drive that Sherrod's got. We're in the cockpit, and now he's here next to you. I'm going to helicam view. This is going to be important to watch. Oh, my word. He goes right around the outside of Hall. That is an incredible overtake by Jordan. That was pure trust. Because Hall could have actually lost a bit of control and hit the side of Sherrod. Sherrod's already in the draft of Kadele and looking for an overtake here. Kadele is not even defending that position. He does close the door as they go into Parabolica. Wow, look at these three.
Hall has not given up either. He's in the tow and trying to get past Sherrod as well. So
drive. Wow.
Sherrod is trying as hard as he can. He's getting some amazing drive out, but Kadele is not going down without a fight. No. He really wants to hold this position.
That's the speed of the McLaren.
And Hall is immediately all over the back of them, side by side. Turn one, bit of contact left, right. Oh, my heavens. Rubbing paint all over.
Great racing through, really.
Absolutely. But take a look, Ryan Ottens also wants to try and join the fray as well. So Sherrod going from blasting past Ottens and just maneuvering around Hall has now got both of them looking to fight back, while Kadele is deciding, no, buddy, you and I, we fought each other through multiple different series, multiple different seasons, and we're going to do it all over again right here at a very, very wet Monza with 8 minutes and 36 seconds to go.
Sherrod waiting for the long back straight. Obviously, Kadele is too skilled to go out of alignment through the chicanes and stuff. But that was just showing Sherrod pulled out of the draft going down the main straight, and the McLaren had enough pace to stay ahead of the Mercedes. So we'll watch again now I'm going to go back to the helicam as we watch them come through the final chicane and onto the long back straight. And Hall is coming with them. Oh, look at that. Look how wide Sherrod runs there. He couldn't have lifted because he wants to stay in the draft. So that would have possibly been an off-track, and he might have got a warning for that. But, wow, he arrives at such a rate, and he just keeps on sending it up the inside. Bruno couldn't even close the door there, and Sherrod got past him before they even finished the Parabolica. So...
Well, we always talk about closing the door. I think Sherrod went and kicked down that door
totally
of Kadili's.
Yeah, he couldn't even he couldn't even start to close the door, and he was there. So, oh yeah, we're going to turn one, hard on the brakes, all three of them, and great respect being shown by everybody. They all come around that corner perfectly, and so Sherrod's got to fifth from that drama. Realistically, I can hear Lewis is up the road here, so I don't think he'll get to Lewis. The time is 7 minutes left, and Addison as well. It's 7.5 seconds still, so that gap is no longer coming down to Tariq Adam. I don't think that we're going to see that close down before the end of the race here.
Absolutely. Now I'm taking a look at Kadili, who's trying to hold back Hall. Otten's getting onto the back of it. And Gerber as well, also joining into that fray. So Kadili going very defensive, trying to hold back the train. And Hall is just on, well, we talk about attacking. At this point, he's trying to blitz him, trying to find any gap to get by. And he's watching his rearview mirror and seeing two Aston Martins chasing them down as well.
I've jumped down to 17th, 18th. Bega Krobler defending against Keegan Masters in the Porsche. And Bega Krobler's in a huge fight all on his own here. We've got Van Lochrenberg, Bernard King, Bega Krobler, Masters. They're all together here for 15th, 16th, 17th place. So 6 minutes left, just sub 6. And these guys are all racing for positions and to try and get the most amount of points they can from this race.
Absolutely. And I've got to say, this really shows the skills of the pro drivers. We've seen some overtakes that have been so close, and you know, in such tricky conditions, the guys have been duking it out. If you think about it, this race is 1 hour and 20 minutes. The guys are still nose to tail with each other. They're trying to battle it out. There's long-term strategies that are involved, but at the same time, the guys are doing everything they can to give it everything they've got.
Totally. We're watching Bega, and he's in the draft down the long back straight, and he's sending it into Parabolica. He's gone up the inside of Bernard King. He's run a little bit wide, and there's a subtle bit of contact, and Masters is also trying to come through at the same time. There's three of these, the three of them almost three abreast, okay? Here comes now Bernard King coming back. They're literally touching as they go down the front straight. And wow, 4 minutes 48, just under 5 minutes to go. Braking hard for the first turn. Oh, a little bit of contact going on there, and Bernard King decides just to run straight through the chicane. He's and he is lifting a little bit, and there's a little bit of flashing going on from Bago, but they're on their way as they go through that chicane and head back down towards Lesmo 1.
Well, interesting enough, taking a look at Sherrod, he's still getting ever so slightly sideways, and Kadili trying to claw his way back up. So Sherrod's still not very comfortable around. He's still getting sideways every so often and fighting the car. And he's got to be careful. He's pushing incredibly hard, but now it's the pit window closed. Yeah. If he gets any damage to that car,
well, it's 4 minutes. No, it's not. Doesn't matter. It's 2 more laps and we're done here. We're almost finished. But he's done very well to get all the way back up to 5th. So solid run. But yep, Tariq Adam, Luke Addison, 1-2. It's a hybrid academy masterclass with Junior McCall for 80k. In 3rd place, his older brother Morgan in 10th. So good showing by the 80k Academy drivers as well.
If I can bring your camera to 7th, 8th, 9th.
Yeah.
They are nose to tail, still duking it out. Hall going after Kadili's, wanting that 6th place, and Kadili having to put his car firmly in the middle of the circuit to try and hold everyone at bay. I mean, there's no inside line, outside line.
No.
It's you having to put your car in the middle and literally be a brick wall. It compromises you completely, and it compromises the other drivers to try and get past you. But oh my heavens, that is a last-ditch maneuver of I'm going to put my car in the middle and I'm going to brake in the middle of the circuit to try and stop you guys from getting around me. This is a race of note.
Totally. We got Pit Buerta shouting for Ferreira, Carl Ferreira, who's idling around here in 22nd. So he's done well. Just looking at various other drivers, Bernard King still carrying on back here in 18th place with Keegan Masters and Bega Krobler, who is now ahead of Keegan. So these three, it's just as tight as those three further up, Hall, etc. So everybody's still trying to take a last chance overtake move and make some points count.
Absolutely, and what a race it has been until we get into that checkered flag. 1 minute and 50 seconds left, and right through the field there is little battles going on. Every driver giving it everything they got, trying to claw and get those last little bit of points that's available.
Yep, watching Tariq Adam now as he goes through Lesmo 2, 1.5 minutes. So he will get back to the line before this clock counts down. So I'd say he's going to be starting the last lap. Solid drive by him. A very different strategy and a huge gamble not to change tires. But then again, in the wet, you can double stint tires and not suffer too much of a drop-off. And I think that's what he did. I think Luke Addison's possibly thinking at the end of the day, he took a gamble to change tires thinking it might give him sufficient speed, but the differential I don't think was that big. Learning now that Ken A is in fact Ken Addison, it's Luke's dad. So no wonder we are finding out direct information from that household.
We've got an inside source. It's the Cop Blanche version.
No. Actually, I saw a comment just now. Ken A is, in fact, Luke Addison's ballast.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
You see, at least we managed to figure it out.
We saw what he did there. There we go. So, Tariq starts his last lap, and here comes Luke. He is not that far back. It's now 6.8 seconds. And Luke arriving at T1. He has Ferreira just ahead of him, I think, in his Aston. Junior McCall hammers over the start-finish line in 3rd to start his last lap. And he's done exceptionally well, considering he's carrying so much ballast. He's managed to keep himself out of the dramas again. And he's produced an awesome driving masterclass here. B. Lewis managing to come into 4th. He climbed up from 10th or 12th. So with all the dramas happening ahead of him, Brian Lewis has managed to inherit quite a few positions, but he's also passed a couple of people, had a good pit stop strategy, and net 4th. So great result with Jordan in 5th place, only 1.5 seconds back, but that will be that as far as Jordan's climb back up the grid goes.
While Kadili and Hall still nose to tail. Hall really fighting to try and get past Kadili. So 6th place still on the line between Kadili and Hall. Ottens and Paul Gerber still duking it out. And Morgan McCall now looking to try and join the party as well. I think a little bit too late for him to join. But it is going to be a drag race down to the line for 7th, 8th, 9th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Duking it out with one another. So this is going to be a fun run for everyone, and you can be sure that Kadili at this moment is hoping that the checkered flag will be, put out right in front of him at this point. He doesn't want to wait till to getting to the line. He wants the flag out right now, and he finish the race because Hall is all over the back of him.
Well, Tariq Adams won the race already. Luke Addison over the line. Here comes Junior McCall. And I saw Keegan Masters lifting with his Porsche, so he was desperate for that race to finish. Brian Lewis finishing in 4th with Jordan right here. In fact, Jordan's gone past Brian Lewis on the last corner. So Brian Lewis letting Jordan take that position.
Drag race to the line. Kadili and Hall, who's going to get it? Hall side by side with Kadili, come across the line. Kadili just able to get ahead of Hall. Absolutely wow. Now that was a drag race all the way through. So absolutely well done to all the drivers for quite a spectacular race.
Oh dear. Jason Isherwood having a huge moment down in 12th place through the last chicane, and he has he's spun off, and there are cars going to be coming past him for this position. In fact, Etienne Kleb has just gone past.
Etienne Kleb's limping.
Etienne Kleb's, yeah, he got hammered. They both came together. So there's a whole lot of changes happening in the dying moments here. I'd be interested to find out how much Lewis will benefit from giving that position to Sherrod. I'm sure some money is changing hands under a table as we speak.
Can I point out that Skitter's going incredibly slow? Like, very slow. He's in 29th place.
Yeah.
Please no, Skitter, you did this last season. Are you going to run out of fuel again? Skitter on Parabolica, limping the car to try get to the line.
I can't even find him in the timing screen. What position is he in?
27th. 27th. He's literally rolling the car at this point to try get across the line. He is really crawling at this point.
It's not going to enter. He's not going to reach the line, so that's that.
He ran out of fuel on the last corner.
Oh dear.
Oh my heavens. Skitter, you managed to do it again. You ran out of fuel. My heart goes out to you.
There we go, ladies and gents. Well, that was an awesome driving result. Tariq Adam and Luke Addison. It's Hybrid Academy 1 and 2 with ATK Academy's Junior McCall in 3rd place. I think I got closer to this result than you did.
Yep, you did. But I told you, watch Luke and watch Adam.
No, you did.
They are going to be very, very interesting to watch.
The three of them going down the track next to each other there. I thought I'll just get that on screen as they come into the pits. Great result. And yeah, that was awesome to watch. Thank you to everybody on the YouTube channel also for hope you enjoyed yourself. Thanks for coming and joining with us and having a chat. Hybrid Academy, overall net result much better as a team, but yeah, 1st and 2nd there, and Junior McCall 3rd. Jordan up into 4th, so great damage control from him.
Absolutely incredible. Are
you shattered?
I'm. Oh,
Skitter.
Again, we saw it last season, final corner, and he ran out of fuel, and it happened again. But yes, absolutely incredible for the Hybrid Academy team going here. They've won to maximizing the points for the team and maximizing the points for their individual championships. So absolutely fantastic. And wow. Sherrod going from 22nd and drove like a demon to get all the way back up to the top. So that is absolutely fantastic. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you very much for joining us here at a very wet Monza. I've got my water wings on. They are blown up. So I guess I'm swimming home. That's for certain, Alan. But we got to also say a massive, massive thank you to our sponsors, Resource Completes, Statement Watches, and Custom Cuts IT Solutions, PWSR for going and helping out with the live stream. And also a big thank you to all the RaceFace admin team putting this all together. But also to you guys, the spectators, the drivers, the families, the teams that bring the absolute content that we get to talk about. That is fantastic. And the reason why we keep coming back for more.
That's it. So I'm going to say from my side, thanks very much to everyone for joining us. Steve, thanks for joining me in the booth. And I think that's a wrap from us here at Monza tonight. So good night and goodbye to everybody. See you next week, Thursday, for round number 3. Cheers from myself.
Cheers, everybody. Be safe. Keep warm.